Karakorum was the capital of the Mongol Empire between 1235 and 1260, and of the northern Yuan in the 14th–15th centuries. Its ruins lie in the northwestern corner of the Oval Qinghai province of Mongolia, near today's town of Karakorum, and adjacent to the Erdene Zuu Monastery. They are part of the upper part of the World Heritage Site Orkhon Valley Cultural Landscape. History. Foundation. The Orkhon Valley was a center of the Xiongnu, Gokturk and Uyghur empires. To the Gokturks, the nearby Qinghai Mountains had been the location of the Otukhan, and the Uyghur capital Karabalgasun was located close to where later Karakorum would be erected. This area is probably also one of the oldest farming areas in Mongolia. In 1218–19, Genghis Khan rallied his troops for the campaign against the Khwarezm Empire in a place called Karakorum, but the actual foundation of a city is usually said to have occurred only in 1220. Until 1235, Karakorum seems to have been little more than a yurt town. Only then, after the defeat of the Jin Empire, did Genghis' successor Ogedei erect walls around the place and build a fixed palace. Ogedei Khan gave the decree to build the Tumen-Amgalanord in 1235, the year after he defeated the Jin dynasty. It was finished in 1 year. In the Yuanshi it is written in the section for Taizong Ogedei Khan, in the 7th year, in the year of the blue sheep, the Waningong was established in Helan. One of Genghis Khan's 9 ministers, the Khatan Yeluchukai, said the following poem during the ridge-raising ceremony of the Tumen-Amgalanord. Installed ridge well fit and stone foundation, the parallel-placed majestic palace has been raised. When the bells and drums of the lord and officials sound pleasantly, the setting sun calls the horses of war to itself from the mountain peaks. The Mongolian version of the poem is as follows. Sotslon tavi nu chuluin tolga, zirigzenzogzu surlega shrieg boskavoy, azin tush median hon henga gaitai han hanjinan dua sahad. Ekinaran, Ulian Tolgoigus Dani Agtadiku GTNAM. The name Karakorum or Karakorum in Mongolian language might be translated as black quarter, space, or literally, black imprisonment. Ka means black, and Koran probably shares the same root as the verb kori, as in korigdor, that means to be imprisoned, held. Kori also means 20, like Koran Mori, but it is unlikely that there would be a black 20. Prosperity under Ogedei and his successors, Karakorum became a major site for world politics. Mongke Khan had the palace enlarged, and the Great Stupa Temple completed. They also commissioned the famous silver tree of Karakorum at the city center. The sculptor was the Parisian Guillaume Bouchier. A large tree sculptured of silver and other precious metals rose up from the middle of the courtyard and loomed over the palace, with the branches of the tree extended into the building. Silver fruit hung from the limbs and it had 4 golden serpents braided around the trunk, while within the top of the tree was placed a trumpet angel, all as automata, performing for the emperor's pleasure. When the Khan wanted to summon the drinks for his guests, the mechanical angel raised the trumpet to his lips and sounded the horn, whereupon the mouths of the serpents began to gush out a fountain of alcoholic beverages into the large silver basin arranged at the base of the tree. William of Rubruck, a Flemish Franciscan missionary and papal envoy to the Mongols, reached Karakorum in 1254. He has left one of the most detailed, though not always flattering, accounts of the city. He compared it rather unfavorably to the village of Saint Denis near Paris, and was of the opinion that the royal abbey there was 10 times as important as the Khan's palace. On the other hand, he also described the town as a very cosmopolitan and religiously tolerant place. And the silver tree he described as part of Mongke Khan's palace has become the symbol of Karakorum. He described the walled city as having 4 gates facing the 4 directions, 2 quarters of fixed houses, 1 for the Saracenis, and 1 for the Cathai, 12 pagan temples, 2 mosques, as well as a Nestorian church. Later times, when Kublai Khan claimed the throne of the Mongol Empire in 1260, as did his younger brother, Ariq-Boqa, he relocated his capital to Shangdu, and later to Khan Balik. Karakorum was reduced to the administrative center of a provincial backwater of the Yuan dynasty founded in China in 1271. Even worse, the ensuing Toluid civil war with Ariq-Boqa and later a war with Kaidu hit the town hard. In 1260, Kublai disrupted the town's grain supply. In 1277, Kaidu took Karakorum, only to be ousted by Yuan troops and Bayan of the Bahran in the following year. In 1298–99, Prince Ulugh-Boqa looted the markets and the grain storehouses. However, the first half of the 14th century proved to be a second time of prosperity. In 1299, the town was expanded eastwards. In 1311 and again from 1342 to 1346, the stupa temples were renewed. Decline after the collapse of the Yuan dynasty in 1368, Karakorum became the residence of Beylik Khan in 1370. In 1388, Ming troops took and destroyed the town. Sahang Sechen Zerdani Yintabchik claims that a Kuritai in 1415 decided to rebuild it, but no archaeological evidence for such a venture has been found yet. However, Karakorum was inhabited at the beginning of the 16th century, when Batu Mongke Dayan Khan made it a capital once again. In the following years, the town changed hands between Oirads and Chingishids several times, and was consequently given up permanently. Excavations. Erdene-Zuu Monastery stands near Karakorum. Various construction materials were taken from the ruin to build this monastery. The actual location of Karakorum was long unclear. First hints that Karakorum was located at Erdene-Zuu were already known in the 18th century. But until the 20th century there was a dispute whether or not the ruins of Karabalgasun, or Ordu Balik, were in fact those of Karakorum. In 1889, the site was conclusively identified as the former Mongol capital by Nikolai Yadrinziev, who discovered examples of the Orkhon script during the same expedition. Yadrinziev's conclusions were confirmed by Wilhelm Radloff. The first excavations were done in 1933–34 under D. Bukhanich. After his Soviet-Mongolian excavations in 1948–49, Sergei Kislyev concluded that he had found the remains of Ogodi's palace. However, this conclusion has been put into doubt by the findings of the 2002–04 German-Mongolian excavations, which seem to identify them as belonging to the Great Stupa Temple rather than to Ogodi's palace. Findings of the excavations include paved roads, some brick and many adobe buildings, floor heating systems, bed stoves, evidence for processing of copper, gold, silver, iron, glass, jewels, bones, and birch bark, as well as ceramics and coins from China and Central Asia. 4 kilns have also been unearthed. Modern times. In 2004, Prime Minister Sakirayan el-Bagdorj appointed a working group of professionals to develop a project to build a new city at the site of the ancient capital Karakorum. According to him, the new Karakorum was to be designed to be an exemplary city, with a vision of its becoming the capital of Mongolia. After his resignation and appointment of Mir Gombinenk Bold as Prime Minister, this project was abandoned.